Coming up, when we can expect more shipments of the COVID-19 vaccine.
And who could be receiving another stimulus check in the near future.
All that and more today, Wednesday, February 24th. Good morning, Emerson. I'm Amogh Mathews.
And I'm Danielle Fineza. We begin with today's top stories.
In a congressional hearing yesterday, Pfizer and Moderna executives said they expect to double or possibly triple vaccine shipments in the coming weeks. So far, about 75 million doses have been shipped, and by the end of March, the companies hope to have shipped over 220 million vaccine doses. That figure does not include other vaccine manufacturers like Johnson & Johnson, Novavax, and AstraZeneca. Johnson & Johnson expect to provide enough single-dose options for 20 million people by the end of March. All the companies have confidently expressed that they are not seeing any shortages of raw materials. Demand for the vaccine is still much higher than available supply.
Americans making under $75,000 may receive another stimulus check soon. The House is expected to approve Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan this week. Beyond the $1,400 checks, the plan increases funding for vaccine distribution and to state and local governments. The Budget Committee approved the plan in a 19-16 vote Monday.
Judge Merrick Garland underwent his second day of his Attorney General confirmation hearing. Yesterday, he testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee and shared that his first order of business will be to address the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Senators also questioned him about his thoughts on left-wing rioters in Seattle. During Garland's hearing, he was barred from answering questions from senators about his current investigations due to his role as a sitting judge.
Capitol security officials testified publicly for the first time following the Capitol riot. The Senate held a public hearing yesterday to investigate security failures. Senator Amy Klobuchar says the hearing cleared up several elements of the attack, notably that changes should be made to the Capitol Police Board and its approval processes. Those testifying also discussed the January 5th FBI memo, which contained social media threats from rioters coming to Washington. Many remain confused how key officials did not see the memo before the attack. The Senate will hold additional hearings next week to investigate the events further.
And now for our weekly updates on the COVID-19 pandemic. The country hit a grim milestone this week. The U.S. has surpassed 500,000 deaths due to COVID-19. That's more fatalities than World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War all combined. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris held a candlelight ceremony at the White House on Monday. It was to honor the lives lost to the virus in the past year. The president has ordered all U.S. flags to be flown at half staff for the remainder of the week. The U.S. is currently leading all other countries in coronavirus deaths.
States will receive about 14.5 million doses of the coronavirus vaccine this week. This marking nearly a 70% increase in distribution over the last month. States received 8.6 million doses during Biden's first week in office. The White House is also working to double the doses sent to pharmacies to 2 million. President Biden says that every American who wants to be vaccinated can be by July.
Now we're looking to our correspondent, Madison Goldberg, with the latest in politics.
What do you have for us, Madison?
The Supreme Court ruled Monday that former President Donald Trump must release his tax returns to New York prosecutors. This comes after an 18-month battle to block prosecutors in Manhattan from investigating his records for potential financial crimes. The court rejected Trump's argument that state prosecutors cannot investigate a sitting president, ruling that, quote, no citizen is above the common duty to produce evidence, end quote. The ruling gives Democrat Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance Jr. access to 8 years of Trump's personal and corporate tax records. And days after Texas State Senator Ted Cruz came under fire for a trip to Cancun amid frigid temperatures and power outages across the state, he is now being criticized for posting photos of himself assisting with relief efforts. Cruz posted photos distributing water bottles to Houston area residents and first responders, only after Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of Cruz's biggest critics, flew down to Texas to aid the relief efforts. Spokesman Abi Rahman for the Texas Democrats said, quote, Ted Cruz showed the entire world who he is when he ditched Texas during our greatest time of need, end quote. And the Biden administration will roll back the Trump-era naturalization civics test. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services announced Monday that they will revert to the 2008 version of the exam. The Trump administration's version of the test included more questions and subjects that applicants needed to study. The exam was criticized for its difficulty and potential to dissuade immigrants from seeking a legal path to citizenship, creating unfair barriers in the naturalization process. This comes at the beginning of Joe Biden's campaign to promise to restore faith in the immigration system. As vaccines are distributed nationwide amid the COVID-19 pandemic, state legislators and governors grapple for power. Many Republican legislators are moving fast in efforts to strip many Democratic governors of their power, specifically during emergencies such as the pandemic. Governors nationwide have worked hard for nearly a year to limit the spread of the virus, but some legislators argue that mask mandates and school closures have persisted for too long. The lawmakers are framing the issue as one of checks and balances, while governors argue that an emergency like a pandemic need not be politicized. That's all from me. Back to you, Amogh and Danielle.
Thanks, Madison. State Representative John Santiago of the 9th Suffolk District has announced his candidacy for the mayor of Boston. Santiago plans to focus on post-coronavirus recovery within the next few years. He has repeatedly stressed that the pandemic laid out the inequalities across the city. He sympathized with healthcare workers relating to what it's like working on the front lines of the pandemic. He has experience working in the Army Reserves and the Boston Medical Center Emergency Department.
State officials are proposing a plan to bring Massachusetts schools back in person for the spring. Elementary Commissioner Jeffrey Riley says that he wants to start by bringing elementary students back for 5 days a week come April. Hybrid learning will be an option through the rest of the year, but Riley hopes to completely eliminate it. Data shows lower rates of COVID transmission between elementary-age students. Teachers and staff would be tested weekly if students return. Governor Baker says the state looks forward to working to accomplish Riley's plan.
Some Brockton students finally headed back to school last Tuesday. Months of soaring COVID-19 numbers have led school officials to hold classes completely remote. As numbers ease in the Massachusetts city, officials will welcome about 700 high-need students back to the classroom twice a week. Not everyone will be back, though. According to the Brockton Public Schools superintendent, out of 15,000 students have decided to remain at home. The superintendent has also said that they've installed more than 2,000 air purifiers and over 3,000 sanitizing stations. If cases continue to drop, high school students could be learning in person for up to 4 days a week.
A new COVID vaccination site opened at the Natick Mall on Monday. This is the 5th mass vaccination site in the state. They plan to administer 500 doses a day and gradually increase to 3,000. Appointments for this site can be made online for those currently eligible in groups 1 and 2 of Phase 2, including those 65 and older. Another site is set to open today in Dartmouth.
Many are facing frustrations as people throughout the state continue to make their vaccination appointments.
Our Boston News reporter Daniella Lobo-Rivera went to one of these vaccination sites and spoke with people about the process of getting their shots.
Massachusetts residents have gotten the opportunity to get their COVID-19 vaccine here at Fenway Park, one of the biggest vaccination sites in the state. But what are some challenges these residents have been presented with along the way?
Welcome to Fenway Park. Entry to Gate A will be permitted.
Many residents have gotten the opportunity to get their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine after Massachusetts moved to Phase 2 in their vaccination program. Residents 65 and older and with 2 or more COVID risk conditions are now qualified for the vaccine. Andrew Brooks, a sophomore marketing communications major, got his first dose at Fenway Park. Andrew has 2 COVID-19 risk conditions.
It was an interesting process. There was if you see there's been some glitches with the system. I got pretty lucky. I got one of the last appointments for this past week.
Andrew believes the Massachusetts government is trying its best to make the vaccination process an easy one for people.
I think that Massachusetts is working out the kinks right now. I mean, I think that we're in uncharted territory.
However, Andrew also believes the state needs to work on handling the process better along the way.
I also think that there's still a ways for them to go. You know, they're not the best state out of the 50 states right now.
Governor Baker has made a promise to its residents to make this process a lot more easier and accessible for them. From Fenway Park, I'm Daniella Lobo-Rivera. Good morning, Emerson.
Thanks, Daniela. When we come back, Joey has all the latest in the world of sports.
And where you can get the best cup of coffee for the best price in your campus. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Good Morning Emerson.
We're kicking things over to Joey Dubois with updates on your favorite athletes and teams. What do you have for us, Joey?
Thanks, guys. Tiger Woods is hospitalized after a severe car crash yesterday in Los Angeles County. The legendary golfer suffered multiple compound fractures in his legs, according to the New York Times, and he underwent surgery as soon as possible. Authorities said Woods was conscious and talking following the crash. Woods last golfed competitively in December and was gearing up for a return following back surgery in January. Tiger has the second most major championships ever, with 15 following his win at the Masters in 2019. Right here in Boston, the Celtics are struggling to meet their lofty expectations. Fans and media alike hoped the Celtics could build off of their appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals a year ago, but so far they have gone in the opposite direction. All-stars Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are doing the best they can, but Boston is currently sitting at a below 500 record, good for only the number 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. The All-Star break is in a couple of weeks and could be a good opportunity for the C's to reboot. On the ice, the Boston Bruins are the cream of the crop in the NHL's East Division. They lead the group with 24 points, coupled with an impressive plus 15 goal differential, good for 4th best in the entire league. The Bruins won the President's Trophy a year ago as they finished a shortened regular season with the best record in the league, but fell to the eventual champion Tampa Bay Lightning in the conference semifinals. They're clearly a team on a mission right now and will look to carry this momentum through the rest of the season. Down at Fort Myers, the Red Sox prepare to get their season started. Their first spring training game is this Sunday at 1 p.m. against the Atlanta Braves. Expectations are tempered for the team this year after a poor 2020 showing followed by a relatively quiet offseason. Meanwhile, the rival New York Yankees are the favorites to win the American League, so it will be an uphill battle for the Sox to win the division this year, to say the least. That's all for sports. Sending it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Joey. Now, Danielle, no morning is complete without the perfect cup of coffee.
Exactly, Amogh. That's why Good Morning Emerson's very own Ella Ward tested 5 different coffee places to find you the best bang for your buck. Ella?
Hey everybody, welcome to Boylston Bites. I'm Ella Ward, and today we're going to be trying out all the coffee places within a 5-minute walk of campus. My order of choice is the vanilla ice latte. We got Starbucks, Tate, Cafe Nero, Thinking Cup, and Dunkin'. First off, we're going to start with the Starbucks Blonde Espresso Vanilla Iced Latte. It's 12 ounces, $3.95 before tax. Let's try it out. A+, love Starbucks. Next up we have Tate, which is a recent addition to Emerson's campus. You don't get as much of the espresso bite, but it's still really good and sweet, if that's what you're looking for. It is also 12 ounces and $4.35, which is more expensive than the Starbucks for sure. Next is Cafe Nero. It's 16 ounces is their smallest, and it's $4.55. Hate to say it, but I'm really not getting anything specific from Cafe Nero. Next up we have the Thinking Cup, which I've also never had before. It's $4.65, which is the most expensive out of all of them, for only 12 ounces. I'm gonna really be honest and say that I do not like this. Last up, we have New England's favorite, Dunkin'. Dunkin' is 16 ounces for $3.59, which makes it the cheapest on this list. It tastes bland, like nothing, just like difficult to get through. All right, now it's time to rank. We're gonna have first over here and last over here. I'm gonna say that last place is unfortunately the Thinking Cup. It just wasn't for me. These next two were just a little bland. But if I had to come down to it, I would probably say that Dunkin' slightly outranks Cafe Nero on their iced latte game. Now, here we go. For the top two, we got Tate and Starbucks. I think, truthfully, that Starbucks is the winner. I hate to say it, but they really know how to get an iced latte down. Let me know if you disagree with my ranking or if there's somewhere else by campus I should try on social media with hashtag Boylston Bites. That's all I have for this segment. Back to you guys at the desk.
We're going to head on over to our entertainment correspondent, Carlee Bronkema.
What do you have for us, Carlee?
Thanks, Danielle and Amogh. Kim Kardashian West officially filed for a divorce from Kanye West. The couple famously hit a rough patch in 2018, and there have been several bumps in the road since. Kanye's 2020 presidential run and statements he made regarding the Kardashian-Jenner family have been cited as the most recent incidents in their marriage. Kanye has been living in Wyoming, while Kim has been staying in California. The divorce so far seems amicable, and the couple plans to split custody of their children and divide their income according to their prenuptial agreement. Usually being on a magazine cover is a good thing, but Megan Thee Stallion's appearance on Harper's Bazaar caused some controversy. The rapper was highlighted on the March edition, but her fans are saying the photos are boring, bland, and messy. They took to social media to say the powerful Hot Girl Summer MC was downplayed. The star didn't seem to care about the supposedly poorly lit photos, though, and captioned her Instagram post, quote, "Unstoppable hotties, I'm on the cover of Harper's Bazaar US." This criticism from fans comes after Vogue was dragged for its photos of Vice President Kamala Harris and Simone Biles. Bridgerton star Regé-Jean Page hosted Saturday Night Live this weekend, and let's just say he really showed his range. His monologue focused on the sensual side of the new record-breaking Netflix series Bridgerton, and he reprised his role as the Duke of Hastings with some non-traditional intimacy coordinators. Then he somehow switched to a sea shanty singing ship captain, but the fan favorite of the night was Regé-Jean, along with several other male cast members, singing Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License and discussing the love triangle between her, Sabrina Carpenter, and Joshua Bassett. It was truly a night to remember. That's all from me in the world of entertainment this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Carlee. Also in the world of entertainment, the status of one of the most influential pop stars of the 2000s has sparked a worldwide movement.
Our What's Trending correspondent, Adelaide Willert, has more on how fans and activists alike are working to free Britney Spears.
The internet is buzzing about Framing Britney Spears, an unauthorized documentary released by the New York Times about Britney Spears' career, her highly restrictive conservatorship battle, and the hashtag Free Britney social media movement, created entirely by diehard fans called the Britney Army. The movement went viral, and it is not slowing down.
Everyone knows Britney Spears. Her rise turned her into a global sensation, and her downfall was highly publicized. But since her Las Vegas residency ended abruptly in 2017, her public appearances have become rare. I spoke to Free Britney activists Leanne Simmons and Megan Radford about what exactly this conservatorship means.
Back in 2008, Britney was placed under this conservatorship, and essentially what that means in the state of California is it gives the rights of someone over to another person. So her dad at the time took over control of both her person and her estate.
We spoke to Emerson students to hear what they had to say about the Free Britney movement.
Absolutely, I support the Free Britney movement. I think, especially after watching the documentary, I think they made some really valid points.
The conservatorship is really terrible, and I want her to be able to speak her truth and say what she needs to say.
She deserves her own autonomy. She's worked really hard to create her legacy, and there's no reason that people should be censoring her like she has been.
Advocates for Britney have expressed their concerns by using the hashtag Free Britney movement.
A lot of us have connections to her helping us through tough times in our own lives. So we felt this sense of connection to her and just knew how unjust this was.
This is an international movement at this point. And that's what's so great about social media being a big player is that anyone, anywhere can use that hashtag.
New York Times documentary, Framing Britney Spears, brought attention to the situation, but Free Britney activists have more on their agenda.
We have three main goals as a movement. So first and foremost, we want the conservatorship of Britney Spears ended. But secondary, we want to raise awareness about conservatorship abuse as a whole, like Leanne just said. And thirdly, we want to reform the probate court system.
The next hearing for Britney Spears' fight to dismiss the conservatorship is scheduled for March 21st of 2021. Until then, you can stay engaged by searching the hashtag FreeBritney or going to freebritney.army. For Good Morning Emerson, I'm Adelaide Willert.
Thanks so much. Today on Good Morning Emerson, we are joined by our musical guest, Nichelle. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Nichelle.
Thank you for having me.
We're very excited to have you. So your newest single, Half a Heart, drops tonight. What was the musical?
Yes, it does.
What was the process like songwriting, and what does that song mean to you?
The process is kind of similar to all the other songs I write. It just comes to me and then I put it together in like a few hours. And this song was much easier to write because it actually came from a very personal place. So that was just, the melody came, the lyrics came, and I just put it all together.
Well, we heard it and we loved it, so we're really excited for everyone else to get the chance. What originally inspired you to start writing music?
When I was about 12 years old is when I started teaching myself how to play piano and guitar. And I couldn't really sing, so I fell into more of the songwriting category. I had lyrics, I wrote poems, and I think my biggest inspiration at that time was about Alicia Keys. And I really wanted to be able to sing my songs when I took up voice lessons later. But because I knew how to play piano and guitar, I just kind of wanted to write lyrics to go with the songs that I wrote.
So you've talked about the emotion that you put into your songs, but what is your favorite part of making music?
Honestly, the excitement of finding the song. So like when I was writing Half a Heart, I was just in my room. And when I heard like that one factor, I was like, oh my goodness, this song is amazing. I ran to my mom's room and I was like, Mom, you got to hear this song. So I think that moment when I'm like, this song has potential, and, that's what I'm super excited about writing music. There's always that it factor where you hear it and you're like, wow, this song is a great song.
We got to ask, do you have any new projects, new releases coming up after this song?
I do, actually. I do have another song that I'm writing right now. And Infinite Recording Studios is helping me with this new project. They've helped me with all my projects, but I'm super excited about the next one. I think a lot of people are going to really like this one.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, Nichelle will be performing her song, Half a Heart.
Stick around, you won't want to miss this.
Camera too close on the person shooting.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away and score this game.
Cam, we're going to close the follow them over.
Emerson trails WPI 10 points. 10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point as the team finishes their timeout.
Cam, we're going to close them on number 33.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away.
Follow the ball, follow the ball.
Welcome back to Good Morning Emerson.
Now, performing her brand new song, Half a Heart, for the very first time, Nichelle.
Hey, Bubba, I heard you found a lover. She sounds so sweet. I knew that this day would come eventually, and I won't cry, no, but I might shed a tear or two. I wonder if she'll know you better than the way I do. She'll lay on your chest where my head used to be. She'll see something in you I wish I could see. Oh, it hurts to tell the truth, but I hope you hold her Baba, I heard you found a lover, one of a kind. The way that she lights up those beautiful dark brown eyes. And I won't cry, but I might shed a tear or three. I wonder when you'll start to forget to remember me. She'll build up the heart I swore I'd never break. She'll hold on to everything I pushed away. Oh, it hurts like hell to tell the truth, but I hope you hold her the way I held, but closer. Take her to the moon, 'cause that's the only place that I've never been. And love her the way I loved, but stronger. Take her to the stars, but don't you dare wander off too far. And leave me with half a heart. Ooh, oh, you'll always have half my heart. Ooh, she'll see something in you that I used to see. She'll hold on to everything I couldn't keep. Oh, oh, Emily, be everything I couldn't be. Take him to outer space, the only place we've never been.
That song was so pretty. Thank you so much, Nichelle, for waking up with us this morning.
Half a Heart comes out tonight at midnight on Spotify and Apple Music.
Now it's time for our Happy News segment. With all the serious news in the world, we're going to take this opportunity to share some lighthearted stories that moved us this week. A Texas restaurant gave out more than 500 free meals on Wednesday. Bella Italia restaurant in Plano, Texas, used their resources to give back. Owners Ari and Blanera Isufaj, along with other restaurant staff, were able to use their gas stoves to make meals for those who suffered from blackouts and freezing temperatures in Texas this past week.
Also down in Texas, a furniture store owner did his part in bringing warmth to residents without power. Jim McInvale opened 2 of his gallery furniture stores to the public as impromptu warming stations. McInvale and his team provided 3,000 meals and overnight shelter to over 700 community members. This isn't the first time McInvale has opened up his stores for good. Gallery Furniture opened its doors to refugees during both Hurricanes Katrina and Harvey. McInvale has now set up a GoFundMe campaign to continue combating the effects of the winter storm on his community.
In other good news, Henry Glogow, a designer from New Zealand, is tackling a global crisis through an ingenious design. He created, as he calls it, a solar desalination skylight. It's specifically designed for underdeveloped coastal settlements with an abundance of solar energy and seawater. Basically, the skylight captures seawater and purifies it with evaporation and a small solar panel on the top. It then takes the clean water and stores it for use. In addition to that, it takes the leftover brine and sifts it through a battery where they power an LED strip to be used for at night. The design is simply amazing, and the invention is already being used in shantytowns all over Chile.
Haley Arsenault, a 29-year-old cancer survivor, is projected to blast into space in the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. The flight will be dedicated to raising money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. The 29-year-old will be making history as the youngest American to ever fly into space. The cancer survivor now serves as a physician's assistant at St. Jude's, and her mission is to, quote, show cancer patients that anything is possible. She, along with 4 crew members, will be flying around Earth for a few days before splashing back into the Atlantic.
Thank you so much for waking up with us. I'm Amogh Mathews.
And I'm Danielle Fineza. Have a good morning. We'll see you next time.